Welcome back to Paint Your Face podcast. This is episode 3 and I'm joined with my gorgeous guest Jen. I'm here with the lovely Jen. She's going to explain what she does and I've already done her skin prep and primer and now I've applied a small layer of the Beautiful Skin Foundation in shade 3. So Jen, while I continue with your makeup, do you want to tell everybody what it is that you do?
Yep. Well, my name is Jen and I am based in Kilmarnock in Ayrshire. And I'm a professional organiser, so I help overwhelmed women declutter and organise their homes for more calm, and it is the most rewarding thing I think I've ever done. When I worked on my own home and improved lots of areas in my own home, that was when some friends, when I was showing them my drawers that were all organised, and a lot of friends were kind of suggesting, why don't you do this for a job? My clients tend to be usually in a bit of a sort of stressful phase of their life. They're very often very down with their space, and when they get in touch, they're really needing help.
What do you find is the most requested areas? Is it kitchens
and wardrobes? Yeah. Getting started at the beginning, it was really the big question for me was, I love doing my own house. I've kind of worked out a formula to make things easier in my own home. Would I like doing other people's houses? That was the question for me. And actually it was a teaching colleague at school who sort of gave me my first break. She kept asking me on nights out, what about this business idea? Are you going to start this business? And I didn't know how to start. I didn't know anything about running a business. No one in my family had ever had a business. And she sort of reached out to me after speaking to me one of the nights out we'd been on, and she said, right, I want you to come and help me with my bedroom and my wardrobe. So I've got huge thanks for her, because I went and I helped her. She did pay me. Aww. And I've never looked back.
Would you have like busy seasons? Do you find people when it's coming to Christmas time, they're all panicking about space saving?
Yeah.
Would that be
January, February's mobbed. I find it really busy after the schools go back. In August, that's when all the mums are help.
I've had to live with my family for 7 weeks and they're messy. I could imagine though I'd want you January whenever the kids have got loads of new toys and things that are cluttering my house, but I haven't decluttered, so I haven't got rid of the stuff that was already annoying me. I could imagine I'd be like, oh my goodness, because that is when we're all kind of decluttering as it is. So I'd shown you my kit, Jen, and were you impressed?
I was very impressed. It's very organised, and it's the same organisers I have in my own home as well. So the IKEA Godmorgan range, and they're clear acrylic containers, but perfect for makeup. I did a collaboration last year with Stackers. Have you heard of the brand Stackers? No. They make stackable jewellery trays and organisers bags as well, toiletry bags, makeup bags and organisers. So I did a collaboration with them last spring, and they sent me some lovely products, and one of them was a makeup organiser, and it's an expanding one. So that's how my makeup is organised now in my drawer. So I just open the drawer and it's all just sort of laid out.
So what are your tips for like decluttering makeup and being quite ruthless and keeping things so they're hygienic?
Yeah, I think, well, in my work with clients, I find that some of my clients have a lot of makeup. Again, just people like buying makeup, ladies like buying makeup, a new lipstick here and there, and I think the whole sort of influencer thing online, I think YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
I am so influenced,
is encouraging a lot of people to buy things that they don't need. And
sometimes you get them and they're not very good.
No, that's right.
You think, why did I not stick to my brands that I know and love? But we're all influenced by these influencers and TikTok, for example, and then the product has come, it's maybe not of high quality, but we just bought it new.
That's right.
So
and then you feel guilty because you've spent money on it and you can't get rid of it, so you just keep it. The key to being organised is to give everything a home. But it's got to be a home that makes sense. So it's not just a space somewhere, or a space in a cupboard, or a space in a drawer. It's got to be a home that makes sense for your lifestyle, how you're going to use that thing.
Have you seen any new products coming our way?
So I think a lot of people are trying to be less plastic and more bamboo and Glam. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with plastic if you keep it and you use it. It's more the discarding of plastic that's the problem. And recycle as much as possible. I do take you know, charity donations away for clients, and I do go to the dump and recycle in the recycling centre and deal with all of that. But there's usually some element that has to go in the bin, and that's something that people find difficult. And I think that's what some people find so difficult, that it holds them back from decluttering, because they feel bad throwing things away.
Like, have you had to deal with clients in that form? And how do you?
In a lot of cases, stopped living in their home properly. Like, rooms have become where they're not functioning anymore the way they should be. And I think when someone like me goes in, a professional organiser's job is to go in and help somebody kind of carve a path through the chaos and create calm and bring some order back to someone's life. And that's really what people are looking for. They're looking for more calm, they're looking to be clutter-free. They want to have that order back so that they can sort of live again.
You do see the heartbreak on people's faces. Like, it's, you know, sometimes they're made for TV, and it's made into a comedy of kind of like, wow, they won't throw away a tin of beans since 1985. But it's the kind of mental health behind that and why people can't let go. So if you have someone like yourself that's really, you know, non-judgmental and really willing to help, but at the same time not judge, to repeat myself, but also to be more approachable and realistic, then that's great, and the people, they need you.
Yeah, I've got a new client I'm going to be working with soon in April, and she's been recently diagnosed with a condition that causes extreme tiredness and fatigue. So she was feeling, when we were doing the consultation, I always start with every new client, there's a free consultation they can do, and it's a video consultation, so they can talk to me about the issues they're having with their home, but also they can show me around their home. If they've got their phone, they can flip the camera and show me around, and we can talk about the spaces that they want to work on. But
and that's with every new client?
Yeah, every new client
really
I do that. So she sent me photos because she was feeling so tired. She said, is it okay if I just send you the photos? And she sent the pictures and then sent, I'll understand now if you want to back away, now's your chance.
Aww.
You know, to back away. Because of how she was feeling about it, obviously, and she thought I would be saying no,
judging her,
and
like,
saying no.
Way.
And I was like, of course not. I'm not. You know, actually, nothing shocks me when it comes to mess and clutter. Got to that point where some of them have been suffering with their mental health and clutter. I think people underestimate quite how much your environment can affect how you feel and your mental health and well-being as well. So when things get out of control and you're living in among mess and clutter, it can really, really bring you down. I mean, some clients we've started in a sort of what might seem like an obvious place, like their hallway, you know, because that's the first thing you see. I think it's very important that your hallway is welcoming and it's calm, it's where you come home to at the end of the day if you've been out working. And very often I'll start in somebody's hallway because that is the first thing you see when you enter their home. Whereas other clients that I've worked with, we've worked in their kitchen because, again, the kitchen's the hub of the home. So when it's not working properly, it can be an absolute nightmare. You're trying the tubing one?
Yeah. I do. I just love a tubing mascara. And I was explaining to you earlier that tubing mascara actually basically tubes around your lash and creates a tube, and it sticks to itself. So it's amazing because it really doesn't smudge, it really doesn't tend to come off without sort of warm water.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who, which you don't think you do, but some people that have like a lot of oil underneath their eye here, that would attract even a waterproof mascara.
Yeah.
Leave that, I'm going to powder that, and I'm going to do the brows. The brows were all
that's
right,
the big job.
That's the big job so far.
Oh wow, I love the dewiness of it.
Yeah,
that's really nice. Yeah.
I feel like with makeup you should just look healthy, like we've all been for a run or almost like a marathon, or we've lay at the beach all day and we're kind of glowing here, and we've got a little bit even of sunburn, we've got a little bit of, you know, glow here and on the nose, but we're not sweaty messes. And where you get the sweaty mess is upper lip here, like, so those aren't pretty. No. That's when you're like powder that down, but all the shine here is perfect because you just look so healthy. And so this is my favorite part on most people, but I think it's going to be my favorite part on you
because I really need it.
So it's always been taught that they should start from where this corner of the nose sort of goes through the eye, and that should be your starting point. So you can always do like a little sort of tiny little dot there, and on the other side to make sure you know your starting point. Oh, that one's a little bit darker than that one. And then it ends from, again, still the same corner of the nose, but through to the other side of the eye. So that should be where your brow should end. Now, as we get older, so what we want to make sure, you actually have really beautiful full eyelids. So some of my clients over 40 would start a lot more of like hooded eye. You haven't, so that's amazing for you. But if you did and that starts happening, because it is with age, and we actually don't curve our brow as much as we used to when we were doing it. So we'd maybe keep that starting point and that end point in our mind. Whereas now we're kind of looking at the higher end of here, and you're almost coming out with a slightly more straight brow, and that's trying to create a more lifted effect. You also really want to make sure that when you've done your points, so you've done your starting points and your end points, you also want to look at symmetry. Not many people are symmetrical. So when you are drawing your brow, it's really important that both top sides of the brow are going to be symmetrical. So you also want to do like a little point in there as well. And what I'm using on you is a taupe pencil, so it's not blonde, which can sometimes appear quite orangey, but it's not like a brown or any sort of color that's going to be too intense. So hopefully you like this. So I wanted to ask you, have you any horror stories within your industry? Any of those stories that we see on TV?
Like the Hoarder Next Door.
The Hoarder Next Door. I would watch that.
I did ask my sister if I could talk about this, because she was one of my first clients. One of my sisters does suffer with her mental health, and she has issues with spending and compulsive spending. So she wanted me to help her organise, declutter her makeup and toiletries right at the very beginning when I was first starting. And she was actually really emotional as well, because I don't think she realised quite how many products she had until we started sifting through everything and organising them. And this is what happens a lot with clients who have issues with spending. I do work with a lot of people like that who buy a lot of things, and then it gets out of control because it's not organised and they can't find what they want, so they buy more because they don't know they might know that they've got something, but they don't know where it is, so they buy more. So in this situation it can be really, really difficult, because there's no order, there's no organisation, and things have been bought and then put away. I think sometimes packages haven't even been opened. So
wow. I would love a good look though. You must be like horrified, but then going like, let me see in this box. This is so exciting.
It was incredible how many products she had. She's very obsessed with having to have like the full kit if she's into something, and of course didn't need all the products, but felt like she was getting a bargain. And we're all suckers for that. And I think I was really bad for that back in the day as well, with like the Clinique and the Estee Lauder gift with purchase, I think.
So I want to talk about that always not annoys me, but I came from that background. I worked in retail for about 13 years, and we used to have clients that would shout, when's your gift with purchase? I'd say, something that was maybe like 2 months away, I'll wait. And I just think, if you need your moisture, like you're going to hold off and, scrape the barrel or not use any moisturiser for another few months just so you can get a wee tiny lipstick that's probably not your colour.
And a mini mascara.
And it's probably bright red.
I know.
And, you're not going to use it often. But it's people's mental thoughts about getting a bargain. Yes, how do you, feel confident that you've got a bargain, but not clutter your home up with nonsense?
I think that's the thing as well nowadays. I think we've all got too much stuff, because things, relative to how much we earn, things are cheaper. I know at the moment, obviously, the cost of living crisis is awful and everything's so expensive, especially food. But compared to our parents, grandparents, I don't know about you, but I was brought up very much sort of hearing the words, oh, you'll need to keep that. I don't know what you were like, but we're very much programmed when we're young to believe and think in a certain way.
Almost conditioned to be hoarders. The only thing is, do you not think that because things are so accessible now with the IKEAs and you know, the big B&M's that they didn't have, now we are so quick to be like, right, we'll stock up, we'll buy that. Whereas they had very much good quality things, and so even your units that did them for years because it was a fortune. Whereas we're quick to be like,
I don't like that
was
anymore.
100 quid, I'll buy a new table.
I do feel if you've ever had to clear out a space after someone's passed away, I don't know if you've ever had the unfortunate job to do that. Sadly, Kenny lost his mum back in 2014, and we had to clear out the house, and like, why did she keep that? And oh my goodness, I can't believe she kept that. And a lot of furniture that she had replaced, but she didn't get rid of the old, it went up the loft. And I think a lot of people do that though. And it's just that fear of getting rid or feeling guilty because, you know, either it costs a lot of money or it was a gift or...
I'm laughing because my own mother-in-law moved house, and we were clearing out her loft years ago, and I found all my husband's like P1 to P7 jotters, and I'm laughing because I'm saying to my husband, do you want these?
People aren't thinking about sometimes why they're keeping something. It's simply because they can't make the decision about what to do with it. So that's really what clutter is. It's postponed decisions. There's a quote from Barbara Hemphill, and it's clutter's nothing more than postponed decisions, and that really is true.
Say that again?
Clutter is nothing more than postponed decisions.
That's so true.
But I think with the whole baby and child things, I get a lot of messages from people asking me about that, and I always say to them, why are you keeping it? Are you keeping it because you think your child is going to want it in the future, or are you keeping it because you want to keep it? Because I think a lot of the time we tell ourselves it's because we're keeping it for our children. We think they're going to want it, but the truth is that probably they won't. I mean, I was talking about it recently on my social media about I was doing a loft, somebody's loft, and I was mentioning that when we moved out of our first home, we had kept every single box from anything we'd ever bought, like, you know, like small appliances like your kettle, toaster, every box from everything we'd ever bought. And then of course we didn't realise, because it was things were being put up not all at the same time, if you know what I mean. So over time boxes had just been getting put up, and then when we came to move, we were honestly like, what in all the earth were we thinking?
I guess we all have natural habits to hoard a little odd thing, and that's okay, because it's not really going to affect our life when it's up the loft if you don't use the loft that often.
And I find a lot of people have got things in their loft that they just feel obliged to keep because it was from a family member who's not here anymore. So, you know, and I'm not there to say, I don't think you should keep that, or it's really my sort of thinking about all of this is, if it adds positively to your life and, you know, it's giving you value in some way, then, you know, you should keep it without guilt no matter what it is. You know, you hear a lot of people saying as well, especially with clothes, if you haven't worn it in 6 months, if you haven't worn it in a year. I do not agree with that at all.
Do you not?
No,
Why not?
Because I think it's about how you feel about things. If you've got the space and you love something, someone asked me a question the other day, because this week's wardrobe week in my zone cleaning program, so we're decluttering wardrobes and editing and all of that. So someone asked me a question the other day about an expensive product that doesn't fit them at the moment, and I thought that was a really good question, because there's then two problems. It's number one, the guilt about how much it cost, and then secondly, holding on to it when it doesn't actually fit them. All I said to her was as well, you know, like, keep it without guilt if it's something that you truly love and it adds positively to your life. But if it doesn't fit you, how would you feel about it if it was never going to fit you again?
Let's choose a lipstick. So I have a few colours here. I'm showing the camera. Is there any?
I'm probably drawn to that one.
This one has a little bit more of that sort of peachy brightness. Okay, well, let's try that on. When you're applying your lip product, if you tilt your head down a little bit so the camera can see, it's always really important again to look at symmetry. Most people's lips are not symmetrical, and you do start noticing this when it's like dentists stare at your teeth. You know, you start realising it when someone points it out. So with yourself, Jen, you want to run down the middle, just a fake line, you know, in your head, and you want to just mark like a straight line down your face from the top of the lip and down to the bottom. So once that line's in place, you can work out with your Cupid's bow if you want to kind of create quite a strict Cupid's bow, or whether you want to kind of soften that. And I prefer a softer Cupid's bow. I feel like it always gives a little bit more of a plumpness to the mouth than quite a sort of strict triangle. So once you've done what you want your Cupid's bow to be like, you can just go underneath that and go a little bit lower than your lower lip line if you want to. So it continues that kind of more plumpy poutness just in the middle. So once the middle has been decided, the middle solves the riddle. The sides I keep completely your size, size of lip. If people had very small lips, I might go a little bit higher, but usually it's far too obvious in person. So I'd start your normal lip here, and I just take it up to the point. So I think it's really good to take from the bottom up to the edge. And then this side, and exactly the same, just taking it into the slightly more plump part just on the lower, but this is just your lip. Apply that to your lower lip if you actually just blend it up to the top. So we need to do setting spray and things like that, but I'm going to just show you just your lip.
Oh yeah, I love that colour.
So I'm going to do a little layer of setting spray. If you just close eyes and take a deep breath. So once that's all over the skin, that will be like hairspray for the face. It will set your makeup so it's not moving, and it will actually melt the products together a little bit as well, which is always perfect. And let me just show you your look. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit. There we go. And you can take the mirror.
Oh, gorgeous. I love it. It's so glowy, isn't it?
Okay, well, I'm going to take some after pictures and videos, and we'll put it on the end of this video. But for now, thank you so much to Jen for joining us, and thank you for answering all of the questions. I think that was really useful, so thank you so much.
No
and
problem at all.
hopefully you like your actual makeup
Yes,
look.
I do. I love it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.